Born in Novi Sad, Yugoslavia, Seles first picked up a tennis racket at the age of 6. Her father, Karoli, himself a former athlete, read tennis manuals to increase his own knowledge of the game. But against advice from the professionals, he chose not to discourage her unorthodox two-handed grip on the racket.
He pretty much believed whatever feels natural to me, I should stick with it. And he got so much grief for it in the beginning. They said, she can never play like this. There's no way. And he just said, well, as long as it feels natural to Monica, she should stick with it.
At 8, Seles became the #1 junior player in Yugoslavia. Within a few years, she was the best junior player in the world. But her progress was being hampered by the lack of local facilities. And at 13, she left her parents and took up a place at a Florida tennis academy.
I was really unhappy just as a person, and my tennis was struggling. So my dad and my mom took a leave of absence for a 6-month period. And then after that, I just started feeling much better and started playing better. And I decided that, okay, this is, we're going to try this for 2 years as a family and then go from there on. But it was a huge risk on their part. I don't think at that point I understood quite how much I was asking of them.
Happily settled with her family, Seles entered her first 2 professional tournaments in early 1988. Still an amateur, she showed her future potential by winning the first rounds of each event, going down only narrowly to Gabriele Sabatini at the prestigious Lipton Championships. Seles returned to the practice courts before turning professional in February 1989. Only 2 months later, she reached her first tour final. Her opponent was her childhood idol, Chris Evert.
Monica Seles has defeated Chris Evert in the 3rd and deciding set to win the championship at Houston.
It was very weird. Because I think the first thing is you just got to get used to seeing them on the opposite side of the net, because for 10 years you just see them as well. Just like total superstars. At least I needed a little while to get used to that. So after I beat Chrissy, it took me a good week to kind of come back to earth again. And I remember going home, I was like, wow, well, my first tournament, I was so excited. You can win as many tournaments after that, but I think you always remember your first one. It always hold a very special place in your heart.
Despite her tender age, it was clear from the outset that Seles could handle the big occasions. With a 31-match winning streak behind her, she was full of confidence as she faced world #1 Steffi Graf in the final of the 1990 French Open. She held her nerve and became the youngest Grand Slam winner in more than a century. The Seles bandwagon had been set in motion.
It has 3.
Well, looking back now, I think maybe it was a little bit too young, to come on the pro tour. You're still such a young person, and then do just so much traveling. To deal with a media at age 14, 15, it's tough.
One thing I was very lucky that I had my parents there with me who kept, try to keep me in normal life. And I think I had that. There were some days when I would wish I would be just at home and didn't have to wake up and practice or have the pressure of a match before finals or something like that. But most days, I would say, is very exciting.
At the beginning of 1993, Seles was on the brink of her 3rd successive Australian Open title. Having dethroned Steffi Graf to become the youngest ever #1, she had the world at her feet. 8 Grand Slam titles to her name, the richest player in the world, and still only 19. Seles seemed unstoppable. Unstoppable, that was, until that April day when a crazed spectator stabbed Seles during tournament play.
I was sitting in the chair, and then at that point, I felt a sudden sharp pain. And then I touched my back, and then I saw the blood, and then I kind of realized what was going on, everything. He took something away that I felt the most safest on, and then, no matter what anybody tells you, it did happen.
Seles retreated to Vail, Colorado, for expert medical treatment. Although the wound was not life-threatening, the future was unclear. Frightened and depressed, Seles fought to regain control of her emotions. With the help of a sports psychologist, she began to look to the future, reassured by the fact that her attacker, Günther Pasch, would surely be jailed.
I was walking here with my friends, and the person came to me and said, you know, have you heard the news? And I said, well, what news? The guy's free. And I said, don't joke with me. This person did this to me, and he's free to walk out to any place. So what does that take for him not doing it again?
Pasch was given a suspended sentence. Meanwhile, Seles began to put her life back together. In March 1994, she became an American citizen, and then 27 months after the vicious attack, she felt ready to take a step on the comeback trail. With the help of her agent, Mark McCormick, Seles considered her options.
I think the first one was the love of the game, really. I missed it so much. I missed the competition, but mostly it was just going out there and hitting the ball. That's what I missed the most. He and I sat down in his house, and he asked me some questions. And I think the key question that he asked me was that, do you love the game? And I said, yeah. So I said, well, then we'll try to do everything in his power to try to slowly bring me back into the game. And after I left the meeting, I was like, wow, okay. It took me quite some time to sink in what we just decided on.
After an exhibition against Martina Navratilova, Seles made an emotional return to the tour at the Canadian Open in Toronto. Perhaps slightly slower around the court, it was clear she had lost none of her touch.
Game, Seles.
In true fairy tale style, Seles reached the final.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Oh, gosh. Every point I was playing, they were cheering. That will be a very special tournament, I think, throughout my career to remember. And doing so well because I was so unexpected. Going in, I said, well, try to do the best that you can. And it was really like a dream, pretty much. I wasn't sure if I would be back and playing tennis again. And there's so many emotions here from the first day till the last day. And it's just amazing. I can't believe that this is real. Oh, boy.
Seles was back, and back with a vengeance. And now she was determined to enjoy herself more as well.
Can I try one of these noises that you make when you hit the ball?
I want to remember for my game.
Try one like this.
I think outside I always had a balance, even from the first year I was on the tour at 15. Always loved to go to things, and I would be visiting cities, go to other events going on. And I think that gives me a sense of balance, that I just don't only play tennis. Keeps my life a little bit more normal. So when I decide to come back, I promise myself I'm going to do those things and try to do them as long as they don't interfere with my playing tennis.
3 years after her last Grand Slam win, Seles fought her way to the 1996 Australian Open final against German Anke Huber. Her stunning comeback was complete.
Well, it felt very different because I always wanted to continue my consecutive streak of the Australian Open. Of course, that got stopped. A lot of years pass, so you change as a person. But it felt just great winning another Grand Slam tournament. I always loved playing in Australia. So it was very special winning my first Grand Slam back after the stabbing.
Seles has already achieved great success. Now in her early 20s, it's easy to forget that her best playing years may still lie ahead. The final chapter in the Monica Seles story has yet to be written.
But I always have to grow up early. But then you're very thankful for every day that you have, and you try to do the best you can in whatever you're doing. It's a great life because I think you're doing something that you love to do. You're making a great living at it, and you're having a good time. It's a great combination. It takes you a long time to get there because it's a lot of practicing and a lot of demands on you. But I think it's all worth it.